It's decision day. Your opportunity, your chance, your time to shine, to advance, and to truly win. This is where most people find themselves at that crossroad. Some people go the one way and they quit. They give up, they turn around, they do the opposite of the things that the winners are going to do. But this is the time where you can make the choice, make the change, and do the thing that is going to allow you to win. Because this is where most people quit, but this is where you're going to win. Now, don't get me wrong, this can be a very dangerous moment. This can be a time that can be very scary, but it doesn't have to be. And it's not supposed to be. It's actually a very exciting, massive opportunity for you to be able to do the things that make your life exactly what you want it to be. And we're going to talk about how you can do that, what it takes to do that. Right now, to I'm my name is Steve Kelly. I'm a third generation master, international disciple. Over the course of 59 years of my life, I've been literally in the devil's wheelhouse in India, and I've spent the rest of all of those days for the 40 years that I've been in business, I have helped people be visible and valuable, to do the things that are necessary to make the impact that they're meant to make in this world. And now is your time to do it as well. We're here for you. We want to see you win so much. I want to hear you roar, to quote Katy Perry. I want to know your reaching things in life that go beyond everything you've ever imagined, ever hoped, wanted, wished, or dreamed was going to happen, to have them be more real than any reality you've ever felt ever before. And for you to come away from it knowing that you are the winner. I love the phrase, and it's a phrase of Willie's. Him and I have talked about it many, many times here, both in lives as well as on my radio show, as well as in our book Magnetized Media that we did together. And that's the phrase, win your way. Okay. Willie's book, both Never Stop Winning 1.0 and Never Stop Winning 2.0. Never Stop Winning 1.0 is just called Never Stop Winning. 2.0 is called Never Stop Winning 2.0. Both of which are available for you. You can absolutely get them. And the key component, the biggest piece of that, is that whole concept of never stop winning, always winning the game of your life. Here's the thing. I've got news for you. And for someone, this is going to be shocking. And for others, it's going to be, yeah, of course. Okay. You are going to win the race of your life. No one else will. No one else can, in fact. You absolutely are going to be, at the end of the race of your life, the person who's going to break the tent, going to be the first prize winner of it. It reminds me sometimes, when I think about it, reminds me of an old Abbott and Costello comedy sketch that they did together. They actually did this particular one on the radio. And they were talking about, without going into all the details, they were talking about a race, and there was only one horse in the race. Okay. And it's like at the halfway mark, the winner, is in the lead. And at the 3/4 of the way mark, the horse is in the lead. And at the end, the winner is, and then they say another name. I think a lot of times that's, what we perceive as being our lives is that we're going to struggle and strain and do all those things. And at the end of our life, somebody else is going to cross the tape and win our lives. And it's, first of all, not possible. But second of all, that's not the way it works. You absolutely are going to win the race of your life. You already are a victor. because you exist, your absolute existence in this world. You got to understand the entirety, the whole of every last ounce of every bit of all of eternity and the entirety of the universe all conspired and came together for you to exist. Any tiny little change, and I don't care what particular spiritual, religious, scientific background you want to look at it from, they all come to, the best conclusion that is so summed up so well. If you've never read Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Miracle in the World, okay, and he articulates some of those things, but you need to understand any micro change in everything that happened, and you can look at it from a evolution kind of standpoint. Whether you want to talk about, if the quote unquote, fish hadn't sprouted legs and crawled out of, if the microbes hadn't crawled out of the microbial murk, any of those kind of elements of evolution, the same is true when you start talking about creation or any of those kind of things. If the two people, good or bad, some of us have been blessed to have amazing parents, and others of you, I know that, your parents at best are less than. Sometimes they're just awful and rotten. And I've done enough books with enough people that I've heard some horrendously awful stories, both of birth parents as well as adoptive parents. And I know, and that's absolutely real. But, and I love how T.D. Jakes put this, because he said, God was so interested in you coming into this existence that he absolutely made it mandatory that the two people that were the only way you could come into existence got together at the exact moment that they had to in order for you to exist. Obviously, if it had been two other people, you wouldn't be you. Technically, you wouldn't exist at all, but let's stretch it and say you wouldn't be you. If it had happened and it's literally down to the microsecond, at any given other time, 20 seconds later, 20 years later, whatever, again, you wouldn't be you. You won. You won the race that was your conception. You won the race that was you coming to full term when many babies don't. Many children, die in utero. Many babies are aborted. There are many different situations that come about. And every single day that you wake up and you breathe is a victory, because there are hundreds of thousands of people who didn't wake up this morning and take a breath. Whether it be people who died in the middle of the night or people who were killed yesterday, there are people that are no longer on the planet today. And I'm not trying to trigger somebody if you just lost somebody yesterday. I'm so, so sorry. But there are people that aren't with us today that were with us yesterday. You're one of the people who made it through to this day that's called today. And today is your choice to win. Now, winning your way doesn't mean that somebody else has to lose. It's not about competition really at all, other than the competition of being the best you that you can be. If you got to think about the race of your life, you want to think about multiple instances of yourself. Take yourself and split the atoms of yourself, and I'm going deep into, quantum physics, where every choice you ever make makes a branch of two U's, all right? All of those racing headlong towards that final goal to be the one you that crosses the finish line. Because that one you gets to determine how great of a victory it is. And it doesn't matter what has happened up until literally this moment, not even 5 seconds ago, keeps you from being able to make a choice and a decision right here, right now, today, to do all that you can in this day that we call today. Because yesterday's gone. if you blew it, if you didn't do all that you could, if all the if all the stuff we can look back in the rear view mirror of our life and totally change it. And I've done it. Okay, this is not me judging you. I've done it. I've gone through pretty much literally every second of my life by this point and rewritten in my mind the history of how it could have been. Maybe, maybe there would have just been some ditches on that side of the road too. It probably wouldn't have been the Shangri-La that it's so easy to believe that if this one thing, if these 10 things, if that person, if that, all of those things, that somehow miraculously things would be perfect, because they wouldn't be. There'd be different situations. And the future is, yes, those choices may have some impact on it, but it's also wide open based on the choice you make in this moment to win. Am I going to choose to win? How does winning work? Clarity, consistency, connection. It's all about momentum. You know who you are. You do the most and be the best you that you can be in this day while it's called today. No critiques on that. No exceptions to. Doesn't mean you have to be an A-driven type personality and work 25 hours a day and kill yourself because of that premise. It means showing up and doing your best. And that's why yesterday I was talking about what is the one thing that you can do for the one person today. Let all the rest of it go. Take this moment right now. Forgive and release yourself and send out into the universe. If you can get a hold of the person and apologize, fine, do. If you can do it in a non-toxic sort of way. There are a lot of people in our lives that we know we did things that were on our side of the net, things that we did wrong in the relationship. And many of those, no matter how good or bad you really were, many of those things are things that person holds a whole lot against you. That's not yours to control. And it may be that being in that relationship, being in that conversation with them is neither worth the effort, nor will it create a positive. It won't create momentum. It won't allow you to win. And so the easiest thing and the best thing you can do is forgive and release them. Apologize to them for any of the things that you can identify as your stuff, your faults, your failings. And then, and here's the key, forgive and release yourself and move forward. Let 5 minutes ago, yesterday, last week, last month, last year, last decade, all of the rest of your life, let it go. Stand on top of all of it as a victory because you're here right now in this moment. Therefore, you, to this moment of your life, have won. Absolutely. And at the end state of your life, how many other days you've got left, you are going to be the victor. And right here in this moment, you get to choose what you're going to do. Now, that was all a little bit esoteric. I want to break it down specifically to your words, your message, your mission, and specifically your book. If you have a book, then absolutely you need to create and keep moving momentum. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that they get a great result and then they don't do the next thing. Now, I'm not saying you got to spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a month. Everything is time versus money. And there may be a lot of those things you have to spend your time doing because you can't afford to do it. But there also are some things that you can do. Whether you talk about something, I went back with my team and we put together a program. Prior to that, the lowest end program we had was basically $500 a month. And it was doing a lot of really cool things for you for $500 a month. And I talked to a few people, and 500 was out of range for them. For long story short, basically marketing is about exposure. It's not necessarily about the exact ROI. It does eventually lead to ROI, and we can give you very specific where you're going to see 5x, 10x return on that investment over the course of time. But it's an investment that you have to keep doing. Anybody that's a good business coach is going to tell you the first thing you want to make sure you fund is your marketing. And the last thing you do before you close your company down is stop spending your marketing money. Once you've stopped spending money each month, and we could go each day, each week, but let's just keep it at each month. Once you move to the point where you're not spending dollars marketing, you're out of business. And that's just the harsh reality of it. Now you're saying, but Steve, I don't have any money. Technically, your time is the most valuable amount of money that you spend. And you may have to spend your time versus the actual cash dollars versus opening your wallet and pulling out a bill. But you got to spend that investment. And when you can, you need to maximize the expertise of other people who can do what may take you weeks to do in minutes or hours. You see, that person who wants to charge you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 for what they do. The reason why they do that isn't because it's going to take them sometimes, in some cases, and I'm even talking some of the things that I know that are $25,000, $50,000. It's not going to take them the year that it would take you, or the 3 to 5 years in most cases that it would take you. It may take them as little as 2 weeks to 30 days. And they may still bill you the $50,000 or $100,000 because they have the systems in place. And you need that. You see, once you start moving, once you start getting that momentum, it's so easy to rest on our laurels, to be like, hey, yay, we're doing things good. Or to not see that slight movement. I so appreciate what Dawn did, because when Dawn's book moved from 9,000 to 1,000 and then went back up to about 3,000, that's about as high as I've seen it go back up to. She was excited about the move, even just from the 9,000 to 3,000. She saw the signs of that early stuff, of all the initial things that we did in that first just couple of months, and wants to continue doing it. That's why I admire her so much. And so, yeah, we created an even $100 program, $100 a month. And it's got some really cool stuff that we put in there. I can't believe we've actually been able to create this process for you. And I did some really high-end negotiating with a few of my vendors, and they came back with some really great opportunities to help you, because we all are in this together. Some of you are doing really great economically, and other people are just like really still behind it in the economy. And we're here to help. But you've got to move. You've got to have the momentum. And then you've got to stay, because that staying power is what converts that motion into a movement, the motion into the momentum that becomes the movement that is the mission, that makes the difference, that changes the world. And you're meant to do that. So if you're ready for movement, for momentum, for the next step, to win your way, to move on from victory to victory to victory. I'm not saying there won't be challenges in life, but I'm saying that there are systems in place. DM or comment the word review. Let's get you going right now. Because momentum rewards those who don't flinch. Momentum rewards those who keep moving. Those who stop and check things out and wonder and wish and want and hope, they're the ones that, end up always having to restart the engine, always have to restart things. Momentum rewards movement, and it's the fan of those who don't flinch. I'm so grateful for you. Tomorrow we're going to get back together. It'll be beginning of our next week, um, and we're just going to talk about what really works. And we're going to get together and really do some super cool things together. And I hope you'll join us. And until then, I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved, and you have a great week.